Hello and welcome to Santos on Sports. It's Paul Santos and Chris Santos, all ready to talk sports with you today. And we have a lot to talk about, that is for sure. We want to thank our sponsors right off the top: Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River. Citywide Glass with 3 locations to serve you in Dartmouth, Fall River, and Taunton. We have the Lakeville Athletic Club in Lakeville, of course, and John Seed, Attorney at Law, 156 8th Street in New Bedford. Chris, how are we doing today?
I'm well, Paul, and yourself. It's another week of football, and actually tonight, right after I leave you, I'm off to the Century House for the New Bedford High School Gridiron Hall of Fame, and 5 inductees into tonight's Hall of Fame. So we'll be interviewing them for the New Bedford Cable TV, and looking forward to always this evening. It's such a great time to talk to the inductees, and then obviously we get to talk to Coach DeBrito. Maybe sometimes the superintendent shows up, sometimes the athletic director. So we get a lot in. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and congratulations to all the inductees this year. It is a great event that they put on every single year over there. It's been going on for years and years. It's always great because it's Thanksgiving week. And so certainly yourself and Joe enjoy it. And folks that are watching, make sure you check that out on your Bedford Cable Network. All right. As far as the Patriots, I should be happy, right? I should be happy, but I'm not happy. I'm still feeling that zappy thing, but we won't get into that. But I just want to say this, right? That was the ugliest, crappiest, weakest win I've ever seen. I mean, think about this, right? I know the offensive line stinks, and I know that, it's not really Mac Jones's fault that they didn't build anything around him. They didn't build anything around him. Like Miami built something around Tua, and, you could go down the whole list and all that. But, Mac Jones, at the end of that game, when he was warming up on the sideline and we were waiting for the Patriots to get the ball back, did anybody think he was going to march him down the field and win the game? I didn't. I was thinking, at least we can run the ball back in the field goal range. Maybe something will happen, right? And of course, the guy takes it to the house. And I'm like, thank God, because we weren't going to win that game. But think about this, right? The 85% completion rating, the quarterback rating and all that. You can take that and put it right in the shredder. Yeah, your 85% completion rate, that's because when you're 3rd and 17, you pass the ball for 8 yards and then punt. I mean, they didn't even try to get the first down. When it was 3rd and long, they didn't even try to get the first down. Why? Because they knew that if you tried to throw the ball downfield, it was going to be a disaster. Every single play was dinks and dunks. How about trying to quarterback sneak on 2nd down? How about at the end of the first half when each team was like, run it a couple times and punt it to you. No, we'll run it a couple times and punt it to you. Nobody even tried to get points at the end of the first half. That's how bad, both teams were. So I just saw a lot of real weak stuff. And, looking back real quick before I let you go, right? Again, I'm just saying this, right? The Patriots scored 38 points, right, a couple weeks ago. Who was quarterbacking? Not Mac Jones. Okay, then the week before that, they scored 29 points against the Lions. The quarterback was in that game? Not Mac Jones, right? So the times that they've put up the most points, again, they're all mediocre teams, you know what I mean, is when Jones wasn't even in there. So I think, yes, the play calling is terrible. Yes, the offensive line is terrible. But this guy doesn't do anything to elevate. He doesn't step in the pocket. They don't even want him to throw it down the field. So I'm kind of discouraged about the whole offense for all the reasons stated. But I just don't think that this guy right here, Jones, is really the guy to take us to the promised land down the road. It just doesn't seem like it. I just don't feel it. This is what my eyeballs are telling me. I don't care about the passer rating. I don't care about the quarterback rating. I don't care about any of that. You can throw all that out. I'm watching the game with my eyeballs, and I'm saying, this is terrible. This offense sucks. All right, what say you?
Well, I agree with, mostly everything that you're presenting, Paul. And, yeah, you look at the stats, 23 for 27, 246 yards, which is the second most against the New York Jets this season. So saying that the Jets had a pretty good defense, I have to say, yeah, they're up there. So you average 9 yards, per pass, which isn't bad, obviously. But I go with the play calling, very suspect at critical points of the game, Paul. In critical situations, let's say, I can't go play action, get 15 yards, then go play action again, get another 20 yards, and I'm in jet territory. Then I go to shotgun, I run it 3 times, lose 7 yards, get out of field goal position, and then punt the ball. So when things are working, I don't know why you're changing some kind of play calls and situation stuff. Now, Trent Brown did not start the game. It was a coach's decision. Don't know what that was about. But then, of course, there was some injuries that came on afterwards. So Isaiah Wynn got injured, and Trent had to come back in. So now that moves pieces of the puzzles around. They lost their center. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that's a big loss as well. They can't lose things on the offensive line. But I thought the Jets played a soft zone coverage, didn't want to give up anything deep. And then it's check down situations for Mac Jones, and everything's underneath, like you talked about. So they tried to get creative with a full house backfield with 2 tight ends and Smith and Henry back there, and then obviously your main back. So that was kind of new and brought that up, and people maybe got excited about that. But I just thought critical plays at certain times just wasn't there. And I blame more of the play calling than I do anything else in this game. And then how about this one, Paul? It's taken 10 weeks in the NFL for the first punt return for a touchdown this year by any team. And it was at the end of that game for you to win that game and get you closer to your 9-8 record that you predicted at the end of the year. Having some difficulties on my end, Paul, actually hearing you. So I know we have some technical difficulties. Hopefully we can fix that.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, I was just looking at the records here. And yes, I did predict 9 wins. Ryan, who was the Debbie Downer, he predicted 6-11, so they have to lose every game the rest of the season for that one to come out. Chris was 7-10. But we're all in. Karen Garigian, who we interviewed, the great reporter, she was 8-9. So we're all in the 6, 7, 8, 9 range, which I think was about right.
Yep.
But I got some major concerns here. You know, I'm just looking at how they played the game. You know, it really was almost like, you know, the play calling was terrible. But again, it was windy conditions and everything. And it almost felt like the offensive coordinators were afraid to ask Mac Jones to throw the ball down the field. I mean, once they got into the red zone, it was almost like, we're just going to run the ball a few times, kick field goal. They didn't even, I don't think they ever threw the ball into the end zone. Not that I can remember. The only time I ever saw the ball go into the end zone is when Zappi hit Thornton in the back of the end zone. And when he threw that BB stepping up in the pocket. I mean, they don't even bother trying to have him throw into the end zone. So is that because the offensive coordinators don't have confidence in him? Or is it because there was a windy conditions? Or, you know, maybe the ankle isn't 100% yet? There's something not right there about the fact that when you get downfield, you get in the end zone, they just can't take it to the hoop. They just can't do it, or they're not going to do it. Something isn't right. You're not going to win many more games like this. I mean, if you play like, you know, scoring 3 points with your offense, I mean, you can't win like that.
No, you can't. And it's very difficult. And a defense can do that for you probably in a 17-game year. I don't know, maybe 2, maybe 3 times to really help you out. And how great were they, obviously, on Sunday, really getting Zach Wilson off his game once again. You know, probably seeing ghosts, as he said in the first time they met, but he didn't even look good in this one as well. Throwing the ball all around. I know it was windy. Judon looked great once again. They had Mac Wilson doing some spying on Wilson to make sure he wouldn't take off. So they did that right. They changed up the fronts. They went 3-man. They went 5-man. Judon looping around on the 3s, coming in from everywhere on the 5. So they did really well. But yeah, how long can you sustain that without your offense getting going? And unless Mac and this crew, and you text me, Paul, and you said, is he holding the ball too long? And there are occasions, yes, when you're looking downfield and you see that soft zone coverage and they got it tied up. And now you got, you know, so much time in your head to get rid of it. And you're looking for your progressions and your checkdowns. You got to do it a little bit faster. So, you know, you can get away with those. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo did it well last night in how he uses it. Mac's got to find a way, and they got to find a way to get it going as well. But the offensive line has to hold up. You can't give up 7 sacks like they did on Sunday.
No, that's true. But listen to this, right? I was just thinking to myself as I'm watching that game, right? There was one play there where they were in field goal range, and he dropped back like 9 yards and was tapping the football. He gets sacked, kind of like Brian Hoyer did in that game against Kansas City a couple of years back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so then hey,
Mm-hmm.
Folk, you can usually kick that field goal, but in those wind conditions, the ball ended up bouncing off the crossbar. So I think I picked up my phone and I'm like, we just lost 3 points because because of that bad decision. So that's an example there. Yeah, there were a bunch of sacks,
Yep.
but if you could have just thrown the ball out of bounds or got rid of the ball, that would have been the right thing. And by the way, right? I know you're talking about that Patriots defense, right? Talking about the Patriots defense. So I'm listening to everybody talking about, oh, yeah, that Patriots defense. Oh, yeah, defense wins championships and blah, 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 right? And I'm looking at the defense and I'm thinking, have we forgotten? Have we forgotten that against the crappy Bears, that they were chasing this guy around? Basically, the Bears were playing like a high school offense, snap the ball to the quarterback and let him run. And we couldn't catch him. Have we all forgotten that? How bad they looked? They were freaking horrible. So, like, this great defense, are they going to be able to catch, Josh Allen when he's running around back there? I guess the Cardinals, their number one quarterback's not in there right now. But if you get into a game against a quarterback that can move around, I don't know. I think this defense, hey, they played good. I don't want to take anything away from Judon's having a great year. I think they've come together. The cornerbacks are doing all right. Jones is a real good corner and stuff like that. But, I think we're getting a little too excited too quick with the defense because we've seen the defense look really bad against teams that aren't even that good a few times. So let's not forget that. I think people are forgetting that.
I don't think they're forgetting it. I think they're going by the week that is in front of you and what they're doing against that quarterback on the other team. And yes, you are correct. Fields had a field day, and so did Lamar Jackson. And you got Allen 2 more times, and you even got Tua, who can run the ball as well too. And Kyler Murray plays, that gives another option. They've been good against the quarterback in the pocket who likes to stick around there and do the job. And so they're going to have to find whether they spy more, whatever it is they need to do, but they got to get some linebackers with some speed that better catch up to guys who will want to take off. And you saw it in the NFL on Sunday night with only 1:30, how fast Patrick Mahomes can get down the field when he can take off against the Chargers and get a game-winning touchdown and hit Kelsey. And when you got guys like that, you have to find a way to stop those kind of guys and make it difficult for them, like Tampa did when they played Kansas City. So the Patriots are going to have to, yes, find the way, but at least they're doing it against the quarterbacks who are more pocket passes. Let's see what they do against the runners. They need to change that defense, and they better fix it, or the other ones are going to have a field day.
All right, 774-762-6234. Let's see what you think here about this Patriots team and the offense only scoring 3 points and all that. And you look back at some of these wins over here, right? Okay, they beat the Steelers. The Steelers are 3-7. Okay, they beat the Lions. The Lions are 4-6. They beat the Browns. The Browns are 3-7. Okay, you got a couple of wins against the Jets, but I think their 6-4 record is fraudulent. So who have they really beaten? They haven't beaten anybody that great. You know what I mean? Lost to the Ravens, lost to the Dolphins, lost to the Packers. The Packers are struggling, and they couldn't even beat them. So I'm a little concerned. All right, but it's 6-4, right? So what do you think? They have to get 10 wins to get into the playoffs, so they got to go 4-3. So I remember Mark from Chicago said, okay, let's go down the list here. This is a win. This is a loss. This is a win. This is a loss. I mean, even if you lose to the 2 games against the Bills, right, you still can win against, the Cardinals and the Raiders. Yep. The Bengals, I don't know. They're not really the same team they were. They're struggling. And even the Vikings, right? So what happens with the Vikings now, right? The thought process was, okay, if the Vikings get hammered by the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think anybody saw that coming. But the thought process was if they lose to Dallas, then they're going to be like drooling and they're going to be hungry against the Patriots. Whereas if they beat Dallas, they might be feeling good about themselves, and then it might be a game they get caught off guard. But what about now? I mean, I know you watched that game much more closely than I did as a Dallas fan, so I know you're happy today about that. But, the Vikings exposed? In other words, what your team did to the Vikings, is that something that Belichick can look at and say, hey, maybe we can do something similar to really get these guys back on the heels? Maybe they're starting to struggle a little bit, and the Patriots can take advantage of that.
Well, I find it interesting because you come up with probably your win of the season at Buffalo, and you are 8-1, and you come home to play Dallas. You would figured you would be flying high, saying, "Hey man, we just beat the Bills, who's kind of on top of the AFC as a team." And you sit back and say, "Okay, now we got Dallas. If we knock them off, people will realize how good the Minnesota Vikings are." And I'm waiting for that game to come. And even the gamblers out there in Vegas going, Dallas is actually favored in the football game. And I'm going, why is a 6-3 team favored over an 8-1 team who just beat the Buffalo Bills? Well, once again, Vegas knows more than what we know, because the Cowboys not only won, they hammered the Vikings, and they did it with their defense. And of course, they did with their running backs with Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. But it's amazing to me to watch how they know when a team is kind of like on a high and on a low, or so much emotion and they can't sustain it. But they always seem to figure it out. But the Cowboys played a complete game finally, and I hope it can continue and lead them over the Giants Thanksgiving, and then see what happens, obviously, down the road, down the stretch, and into the playoffs.
Well, the Patriots have won, let's see, 3, 4, 5 out of the last 6, right? So, I don't know why I'm not happy. I'm looking at these games and I'm like, I don't know. But then, of course, 2 of those 5 games, Zappe was in there. And again, I hate to keep bringing Zappe up, but, 29-0 against the Lions, 38-15 against the Browns. I mean, the games that Mac Jones win, it's like the Steelers 17-14. Let's like grind out, can't move the ball, got to have the defense win it for you. This last game 3-3, the special teams wins the game for you. Most of the games that he's played has been this grind out, can't get enough points kind of a thing, relying on the defense, relying on the special teams, relying on Nick Folk or, a ball being run back like we just saw the other day by Jones. But, man, I don't know. I'm rooting for the kid. I mean, I think, obviously they put him in a very, very difficult spot because they did nothing to build around him. So again, I think that is a factor, but I don't know, that it factor that I like to talk about that you just can't put your finger on. I'm not seeing it. Zappe's a little on the short side. So they were starting to bat his balls down, even in the second half against that Bears game. He was getting balls swatted down. So, you can't, add height to yourself. Okay. So whatever the height he is. So when teams are going to be able to bat his ball down. But, just seeing him drop back and then here comes the rush. And then he kind of feels the rush. And then he steps here and he steps there and he zips the ball downfield. And in the back of the end zone is Thornton, When have we seen Mac do that? He's never done it. I don't care who he's playing. Never done anything like that. He goes back. The defense comes in. He then cradles down like in the fetal position, and down he goes. So I mean, I'm just not seeing him adding anything to this.
Yeah, I just can't see the Patriots getting into a groove on offense under Mac Jones right now. It doesn't seem like they have a set of plays that they can lean on when they need it, whether it's down the field or in the red zone when they get there. And then when they finally find something and it looks like, oh, we got it going, they get away from it and they go somewhere else and they do something different. So I can't figure out what Patricia's thought process is on some of these plays. And I kind of scratched my head and said, well, why is he not going back to this? Because that's been working. And now you're trying this instead. So, I just think that game was a lot more play calling than anything else that personally I did not like offensively for the New England Patriots. So, maybe they got to step that up a little bit more and figure out how to make some plays down the field.
That. Oh, there we are. Right. So there was a couple of strange plays there. Like in fact, Chris and I texted each other a couple of times. Hey, look at that play action! It actually worked. Yeah. Who knew? Yeah. Who knew? Play action, right? So okay, that's fine. And then there's a couple of strange things. Like how about when Mac Jones on 2nd down and 3 sees a hole in the offensive line, so he thinks he can run for the first down. Well, he doesn't get it. He runs and he gets into a 3rd and 1. So I'm thinking, all right, go up there and do it again. Get the first down. No, they hand the ball off 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and the running back gets basically creamed for a 5-yard loss. I'm thinking, what the heck was that? That was terrible. I was ready to throw stuff at the TV. You know what I mean? It was just terrible. So I mean, Brady on a 3rd and 1, it was like an automatic quarterback sneak first down every time. So why don't we continue to do that? It works. The defense doesn't know the count, right? So to me, when it's 3rd down and 1 yard or 1/2 a yard, you can almost sneak it every time.
And again, Paul, that's play calling. That's something that they have to say, hey, okay, Mac, it's 3rd and 1. It's quarterback sneak time. Call that play and go get that first down. Instead of, whether it's a shotgun snap and the guy gets the ball 5 yards back, your offensive line gets destroyed and you lose 5 yards and now you're punting the ball. So I blame the play calling. Again, the 2nd down and Mac doesn't pick up the first down. Well, then I guess that hole was not big enough for you to run through and get that 3 yards. Instead, you only get 2. So what are you taking off for? Instead, try to get that first down and get 3 yards. So, there's different ways of, you can blame it on the quarterback or you can blame it on the play calling. But right now, could be a little bit of both for the Patriots.
I think there was one time, was it this game? Because these games start to merge together. But I think it was this game where the Patriots, they had like a 3rd and 1, like deep in the red zone. They called timeout. Then they went out there and did the play, the long count thing, like trying to draw the other team offside. Right? So I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Hey, the Jets might be stupid enough to fall for that, but I'm like, you're really going to go out there and just like stand there and just keep calling signals, figuring they're going to draw them offside, then they kick the field goal. I'm like, come on. I don't know. I don't know what I'm watching over here. I'm watching this game and I'm like, again, I spoiled for 20 years and all that kind of stuff, But I just don't think what you're seeing there can be sustained. 3 in a row, that's great. 5 out of the last 6. Again, 2 of those games with Zappe at quarterback. But, it's one thing to say, hey, a win's a win, so let's put it under our belt and everything else. That's fine. A win's a win. And, if the Patriots can get a playoff spot, that's certainly a lot better than some other teams that don't do that and so forth when they're trying to rebuild. But I'm trying to look at the big picture, right? You want to be able to at least duplicate last year at the very least, and then go in the playoff and try to get a win, get something under your belt. Let's build something over here. I just not feeling good at all. I mean, I'm feeling like this team has just a lot missing on the offensive side of the ball. Now, whether it's Mac Jones, the offensive line, whatever, you can't go on like this. You just can't do it. I don't care how many games they've won.
Well, you gotta look past this game now, Paul, because this one's over, and you got to think, hey, we got a short week. We got Thursday night football. We're on primetime TV. We're on the road in Minnesota. 8 o'clock, 8:30 start, and another big game for New England. Knowing that, hey, this team had beaten Buffalo in Buffalo, and how are we going to stop Justin Jefferson, which I think they can do because I like their secondary. And it's a matter of, once again, finding ways to put points on the board. And so they have a very short week to try to get that done. Never mind, they have to rely on their center, who may not even be healthy, and he may be done for the year. I don't know. He got out with a thigh injury, and I heard that it wasn't very good. So losing Andrews is going to be really big. That shakes up that offensive line even more. But they got a very short week to do it against, an 8-2. Kirk Cousins is always good for something where he always makes some kind of mistake. So hopefully he makes a couple more and the Patriots take advantage of it. But it's another big game on primetime night on Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Having some issues over here. Having some issues. See that right there? I hit the mute button by mistake. My wife is upstairs. Maybe she hit the mute button. But anyway, if she had a mute button, I think she hit it. But anyway, I'm only kidding.
Oh, at your house, Paul, that thing might be going on and off all day long.
Oh my gosh.
Because
So
I hear enough of your shows all the time. I don't need to hear you anymore.
well, as critical as I've been about the Patriot offense, right? I'm looking at the game against Minnesota, and I'm thinking, because I watched them against Dallas. Now, I'm not saying anything with Dallas. Anybody can have a bad day. The Tom Brady Patriots got blown out by Cincinnati, by Kansas City, 45-0 in that game many years ago. So,
Yep.
So when you look at it that way, stand by, please. Okay, there we go. Got a couple of callers on hold over here.
Nice.
So, I'm looking at Minnesota, and I'm like, hey, the Patriots aren't Dallas. Dallas is better than the Patriots. But I don't know. You're looking at Minnesota. You talk about the quarterback. They got some flaws over there. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if the Patriots, brought a good game against them. Okay, let's see. Hello, you're on Santos on Sports.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. First of all, I'm loving the business casual look from both of you guys today.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty good.
Hey, Ryan, I told Paul I got the Hall of Fame tonight, and, we got to dress up for the occasion and get ready to go.
Nice. Love the special occasion. So I got to say that this game this past Sunday, that has to have been the worst football game I have ever seen. And listen, when the Super Bowl a few years back where we won 13-3, that's just justifiable, because those were two really good teams and two really good defenses going at it against each other. To me, the way I look at this, it's just two really very incompetent offenses. I guarantee you, if Joe Flacco were playing in this game, I'm not saying that the punt return touchdown doesn't happen, but at the very least they're scoring more than 3 points. I can safely say that, because Zach Wilson is not the guy. I can officially say that now. He hasn't gotten any better. He had a Cam Newton type day. What was that? 9 for 22, 77 yards, and absolutely nothing. I am not feeling good at all going into Minnesota this week, especially considering the fact that they just got walloped by Dallas. So I'm thinking they'll want to have a bounce back game.
Right, Ryan, what are you seeing that maybe me and Paul are not seeing about this offense that's not getting the job done? Now, don't get me wrong, 23 for 27, 246, second most yards against the Jets all season long by any team. What's happening out there that you want to see more of? I mean, it looked like the Jets were playing really back and saying, man, we're just not going to give anything deep. And we're going to see on this windy day if he can beat us underneath. And we'll try to get our linebackers just to catch up to these guys. And we'll be all right. And it seemed to work out.
Hey, Chris, before Ryan answers that question, you can take that statistic and, you can put it in the shredder.
Yeah, no, I know. I understand that.
If you're going to throw the ball 3 yards all day, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Ryan, go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, the offensive line issue just continues. We can't block anyone worth a damn. What was it? We got sacked six times on the day. And although I will say I did like the way that Ramondre Stevenson ran today. He broke all sorts of tackles. But it just continues to seem like the offensive line isn't on the same page. The play calling it has been just god awful, and it's just.
I agree with that.
I feel like the him and the receivers, they're still just somehow not on the same page. This past week, I forgot who had talked about it. It might have been Bedard. I'm not sure, but someone had reported that there's just some issues where they're not on the same page with Jones, because he's stepping. Actually, you know what? I think it's Dan Orlovsky. That's who it was. Who was looking at some film and was kind of pointing out where Mac is taking like a 3-step drop. He's ready to gun it, but the receivers aren't even turned around. So it's the offense just isn't being coordinated well. Nobody's on the same page with Jones. And sure, he threw for 246 yards, but like Paul said, I throw those in the shredder because what'd you get out of it? 3 points, except for that punt return touchdown.
Yeah. No. And listen, I can agree to that. And again, I talked about the play calling, and I talked about it just doesn't look like the offense can get into a groove of any sort. And when they finally seem like they find it for 2 plays, then they change the play calling and they go to something else, and it's just disastrous. And then it's punt the ball away. So it just doesn't seem like there's set plays they can lean on. Doesn't look like they can just find a way to say, hey, this is what I can get all the time, and get some first downs. And it's been like that for a little bit. And if that can't get together, then it's going to be some tough games against Cincinnati, Minnesota, Buffalo twice, Miami again, and see how it goes. Never mind, maybe a running quarterback if Murray comes back in, which we have yet to see them actually slow down a running quarterback.
Well, before Ryan answers that or picks up on that conversation, Ryan, how about Chris was talking about it felt like the Jets defense was almost like playing back and, giving you 5 yards. It felt like, and I have to go back and look at statistics, right? There was a few times where the Patriots were in like a 3rd and 15 or a 3rd and 12. And I'm thinking, all right, let's see what they come up with here on the 3rd and 12. Okay, drop back, dink the thing down for 5 yards, get tackled and punt. So there's a completion. There's a gain of 5 or 6 yards. You can check it off as another complete pass. You can check it off as a positive gain. But you know what it means? It means absolutely nothing. It means crap, right? Didn't it feel like that happened, Ryan, a few times?
Absolutely, yeah. Nothing cheap, nothing deep is really what that was, and they could do that because that Jets front four they were getting home. It felt like every other snap. Whether and the bunch you saw a couple of those that 4th down conversion, 4th and 3. They just tried to run a sweep with Stevenson. It looked like they stuffed it. Like I've said it before, like that Jets defense is really good, especially that front four.
I think so.
Like they were teeing off the whole day.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I still think the Jets is a pretty good defense. If they could get some offense together, they're kind of almost like a mirror image of the Patriots right now, and what's going on with them, where Zach Wilson has just not shown up to be the player they thought he would be. And definitely the 2 games against the Patriots, he has been pathetic. And that's not NFL quarterback at all. They will never win if he continues to play like that.
Hey, Ryan, let me ask you a question, right? A lot of people, the fans, they're all excited about the Patriots defense, right? Oh, the Patriots defense this, the Patriots defense that. Hey, they got some good play from a lot of people. We talk about Judon, not taking anything away from him, having a great year and everything else, an all-pro year. But then at the same time, we're talking about how terrible Zach Wilson is. Zach Wilson's terrible. He's awful. He's terrible. He stinks. He's a bum and everything else. Well, so then when the Patriots shut him down, why are we patting ourselves on the back? When the Patriots play against those quarterbacks, like, when they did against the Bears and they couldn't catch the guy, they got to play Josh Allen twice, and perhaps Murray comes back, right? So can you see the Patriots like chasing these guys all around the field? I mean, I'm still not 100% sold even on the defense.
Me neither, because you mentioned it before, the mobile quarterbacks. Look at what Lamar did to us. He tore us apart. And sure, we did decently against Rodgers, but he's having a down year in comparison. And otherwise, it was Zach Wilson. It was Sam Ellinger. It was who else was it? Jacoby Brissett, Jared Goff. Although somehow they've had a resurgence all of a sudden. Starting this week against Thanksgiving, even though Kirk Cousins and that offense didn't have a good game, I'd say this is going to be a real test this week. Because sure, he's a pocket guy, but that's a legitimate offense.
All right, real quick, a prediction on.
Well, you have Dalvin Cook, obviously.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, I was just commenting on the offense of the Vikings. Obviously, you have a talented running back in Matson and Cook, 2 guys that can run. You got Jefferson out there. You got Hawkinson. You got some guys that can really tear it up. So the Patriots defense will have to be ready to go and tested. I'm just not sold. That's just me. I'm just not sold on Cousins as a quarterback. There are times he looks brilliant, good at all. So I'll be kind of curious to see how he looks against the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it'd be certainly fun that on Thanksgiving night, where I'm usually dozing off because all the turkey I had all day, I gotta get that. I gotta get that nap in there because I won't make it till 11 o'clock. But it'll be fun to watch the Patriots. So Ryan, it sounds to me like you think that there's a chance that Minnesota is just going to be like foaming at the mouth, and they're really going to stick it to the Patriots. I mean, anything is possible this year in football. You can't predict anything. A lot of times I'm watching the red zone. I'm like, who's beating who? So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But it sounds to me like you feel like this could be a dangerous game because of Minnesota's beating at the hands of Dallas.
I think so. I think like say what you want about Kirk Cousins. I'm not fully sold on him either. But the big thing that I've seen from this team ever since Kevin O'Connell got there, except for this past Dallas game, that this is a resilient football team. They were down 17 to Buffalo. They ended up, albeit they forced some mistakes on Buffalo's part, but they had to execute on offense. They came back and won that game. So I'm just hoping the Patriots this week isn't foaming at the mouths and getting too cocky themselves. Like, oh, look at what Dallas did to them. Our pass rush is just as good. I don't think they are, but this will be a real test. I will say that right now. I'm just hoping that the Patriots don't somehow view this as easy pickings because of the way Dallas annihilated them this week.
Aren't you a Dallas fan?
I am, yeah. I was actually in shock at this past week. Like the way that they laid an egg against the Packers, especially when it comes to their run defense. I thought Dalvin Cook was going to run all over them, but Micah Parsons set the tone from the very first snap of the game. I think it was with that strip sack. It was amazing to see. Hopefully they continue to play like this.
Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for calling and your usual very good contribution to our show, and we'll talk to you again.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, any thoughts on that? I mean, I was watching the game not as close to you, but I mean, what a blowout. Okay, let's see. Are you there? Go ahead. There's a big blowout.
I wanted to maybe get Ryan's thoughts on. Yeah, maybe I can get Ryan's thoughts next time he calls. But I'm liking Tony Pollard more and more every time I see him. And I'm really hoping that the Dallas Cowboys take into perspective what they saw from him on Sunday and say, we got to get this guy the ball a little bit more than what he's been getting it. Now, don't get me wrong. Zeke does his thing, and he gets the hard nose yardage, first downs, and maybe some touchdowns. But Paul is that elusive, catching it out of the backfield, and then he can get it to you from the running back position as well. So I'd like to see him more involved in that offense. That I'm looking for. Number two, I hope Ryan eats nice and early. 12 o'clock, takes a nice nap at 3, gets up at 4:30 because he's got 4:30 to 11:30 to watch both the Cowboys and then the Patriots, and that will be a good day for him.
Who the Cowboys got this week?
The Giants.
Oh, that should be a good one.
Well, the Giants are a little banged up. Hopefully we can take advantage of that and get on them right away. If Micah Parsons and that defense continues to do under Dan Quinn what they did against Minnesota, I think we have a great shot.
All right, in the Minnesota game, you like the Patriots?
I'm going with the Patriots, yes. Listen, losses come in bunches, in my opinion, and sometimes you just can't get that feeling back the way you want it that quick. I know Cousins beat Buffalo Bills, and they were on a high, and maybe Buffalo let down a little bit, and they let their guard down, and they did come back. And I'll give Ryan credit. The Vikings have been resilient this year. He's correct on that. They've come back. I just think Buffalo made some mistakes, and they did some silly things at home that they probably shouldn't have done. So I'm still not sold on Cousins. I think he will find a way to kind of mishandle this game, and that's going to put right in the Patriots' favor, and they're going to come out and win this game.
All right, sounds good. You heard it here from Chris Santos, and if you want to jump in on the conversation, I think someone was on the line when Ryan was on, and maybe we lost them. So if you want to give us a call at 774-762-6234. Again, thanks to Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John Seed for supporting Santos on sports. Before you head off to the Hall of Fame dinner, I want to get your thoughts on the Bruins. The Bruins are 17-2, and I'm watching them play, and I'm like, I haven't seen anything like this since, Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito and everybody else lit up the scoreboard back in the early 70s. And sometimes it led them to the cup, and sometimes it led them to being upset in the first round. So I'm watching this, and I'm excited, and I'm happy, and I think they're deep, and I think they're legit. The problem is hockey's so unpredictable that, God, it almost feels like they're hot at the wrong time. Like, can you be hot now and still be hot later?
Oh, I think you can. And there are going to be times where they're going to have that frame of maybe 6 to 10 games where they struggle a little bit. But I think they can come right back out of it. I like the way they're playing for their new head coach. Olmark has really stepped up his game. I texted you last night. Very, very impressive with the Boston Bruins and how they work under their captain, Patrice Bergeron, who got his 1,000th point. Ray Bork, Johnny Busick, Phil Esposito, and now Patrice Bergeron. And not only that, it's when Marchand scored. Usually you score, you slam yourself into the glass or you pump up. He didn't do any of that. He scored and he ran to Bergeron and said, "Where's my captain?" He got his 1,000th, and then he called everyone over. The whole bench came over. They all celebrated with Bergeron, their captain, the guy they love the most. He must be a wonderful teammate inside the locker room and obviously on the ice, because everybody was out there, from the backup goalie who even made it out there to make sure they all hugged Bergeron, high-fived him. So great class, I have to admit, by the Boston Bruins last night, and what I saw in a very, very solid win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Remember who you're playing, Paul. You're not playing the Sisters of the Poor in this one. You're playing a good, solid team in Tampa Bay. So that's a good start for Boston, knowing they can go on the road and beat Tampa in Tampa, and they got Florida coming up.
Well, you talk about Patrice Bergeron, class act on and off the ice. I mean, here's a guy who, when he retires, it's going to be like, wow, like 20 years of an era with Patrice Bergeron. It's so nice that he got at least that one cup so far, because, if this was a situation where they hadn't won with him, sort of like the Ray Bork thing, it would have been more disappointing. So at least he's got the name on the cup. But it'd be nice to get another one before it's all said and done. And I think that's what they're trying to do. But I'm looking at the team, right? And man, it is a deep team, and their power play is nasty. And their forwards got a lot of talent up there. First line, second line, even third line defensively. I mean, they're solid defensively. And for some reason, Olmark, I don't know, he came out of nowhere and he's playing just fantastic hockey. So it looks like they're deep enough. The combination of the seasoned veterans like the Bergerons, the Marchands, you mix it in with the Pasternak, which I hope they can sign him, McAvoy, and other players that they have there. I don't know. It just seems like it's a really, really good mix. And at least for right now, wow, they're just playing fantastic.
Well, what are you seeing different, Paul, from last year? Same personnel, right? Same guy. But Foligno having a great year, started to get it up. DeBrusk, even more. Didn't have the issues like he had from last year. He had the goalie controversy. Olmark, spend the money on. Wait a minute, Swayman's coming up. A lot of things going on last year compared to this year. Then on ice, what did you have? A lot of turnovers. Not seeing that much. Defensemen rushing up and play this year. Weren't doing that last year. More open space, wide open, better passing, using the, getting, obviously, turnovers in the neutral zone, creating back into the opposite end, getting back into trying to score more goals, more shots on net. Things like that, that's created opportunity for them to be very successful. And it's shown this year. So I think a lot less distractions.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the things that's different, of course, is the coach, right? So I don't think you can necessarily dismiss that, right? I mean, and again, we talked about Bergeron, class act and everything. Right. I don't think Bergeron liked Cassidy toward the end. We weren't even sure he was coming back. We talked about that before. And then as soon as the coach was changed, all of a sudden back comes Krejci. Bergeron seems to be happy. And then the youth, there was some narrative there by a lot of the people who've been following the team that, some of these young players didn't like Cassidy because he was too tough on him and he was too critical and stuff like that. And maybe some of those young guys were too soft. Well, now that Cassidy's gone and you get this new coach, some of these young players are flourishing. Maybe the negativity and, a lot of times in the post-game show, Cassidy would say, well, this guy was out of position. This guy coughed up the puck. He was almost like too candid. And maybe inside the locker room, it sort of wore thin towards the end.
And that leads to confidence in the game plan, Paul. That's what it is. And that's what these guys want. They want the young kids playing. They're letting them loose. They're letting it go. It's working out for them. And other guys know what their roles are. And they're not like, ooh, wait a minute. What line am I on tonight? Who am I with? Who's going here? And, and another thing too, Paul, is everybody's healthy. Okay. There's no Pasternak out. There's no Bergeron out. Marchand was out for a little bit. Now back in. McAvoy out for a little bit, back in. Everybody's right where they want to be right now. And it seems to be on all cylinders And it starts with their head coach and believing in their head coach and the system. And they are.
All right, we got a couple of comments here in football. First of all, Chops Turner is very happy because he's watching the 49ers last night. And he's saying 49ers all the way, baby, along with Garoppolo back there. Wow, Garoppolo looked good back there. It's amazing when you have a good team around you, what an average quarterback can do, huh?
Well, I'm hearing it from Chops. I'm hearing it from you. I've even heard it from my buddy Mark, Mr. Guarantee out in Chicago. He always says if you had players around Josh Fields, Chicago would be even better. So, that's what I keep hearing. Maybe you guys are correct. But right now, Jimmy G showed that he's got something going on right now with that team. And I think San Fran, you got to watch out for them in the NFC. I'd like to see them in Dallas at the end. That would be nice.
All right. And real quick here, I did want to mention that Scott Bryant was talking about the offensive line not being good. And obviously Andrews, not only is Andrews a really good center, also a lot of leadership qualities there that you kind of like. So, you really, really hate to see him out.
Yeah, and that would be a big loss for the Patriots. I know they got, LaFrentz, the next guy up, younger kid. But, Andrews is like, the guy that you want to lead that offensive line out there. So without him, things are going to be a little bit more difficult. So just means Mac's going to have to get rid of the ball a lot sooner than expected.
All right, let's see if we can squeeze a call in here. Hello, you're on Santos on Sports.
Hello, gentlemen.
Yes, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good.
I wanted to talk about now that baseball season is over, about how I can't take this mystery of where Judge is going to go.
Yep.
I can't take it. They're putting him in different uniforms. I can't take this in anxiety anymore.
Are you a Yankees fan?
What's the latest you've heard?
Yes, I'm a Yankees fan. I called before and I explained how Brian Cashman needs to get the deal done.
Yep.
But if he doesn't, he needs to be fired.
All right.
So what's the latest? What's the latest you've heard? I've heard San Francisco is entertaining Judge, and that's a spot for him.
All I know is that this situation needs to be fixed because look, anywhere he goes, he's going to be a wealthy man. That's a fact.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But damn it, I want him to be a wealthy man in pinstripes.
Okay, so let's say you open up the bank account. Well, let's say they open up the bank account, Paul, and they sign Judge. Are they able to keep a lot of other players, or because can they afford them with the salary cap and all how that works? See, I don't have that in front of me right now, so I really don't know. And then what the offers are, can they match the offers from the other teams? It is going to be very interesting to see an MVP 1 year and then possibly gone the next.
Lastly, guys, I will say this because I know it's on the eve of Thanksgiving and maybe that's probably got close. I just want to say that, Brian Cashman told ESPN, from what I read, that there's a pot of gold for Aaron Judge.
Well, that's for sure.
Well, it better be enough to entice him to sign because if the Yankees don't give him that contract, he'll be gone. But it'll be sad to see him go. But nonetheless, I just can't take the anxiety anymore. But I have high hopes that they'll get it done. But
all right,
you gentlemen have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you very much, and call again, please.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Chris has got to head out to the Hall of Fame dinner. Do you know who's on the deck there tonight? Off the top of your head, can you reel it off real quick?
Well, I know John Borowitz is getting in, class of '86. Donald Boomer Rodriguez, who you may know, is getting in as well. And so got a couple of guys in the 70s that graduated, and obviously a few in the 80s. So I think there's 5 of them. Looking forward to it. It should be a good time at the Century House starting around 5:30, 6 o'clock.
All right, we're going to let Chris Santos go. And don't forget, you can catch that on New Bedford Cable Network. Joe Cabral going to be doing it with you?
Yes.
All right, very good. You can
Me and Joe will have the table, absolutely.
100%. Okay, again, our thanks to Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and Attorney John Seed for being our sponsors. Thank you, Chris Santos, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Yeah, you too, Paul. Enjoy. Good luck, my team and your team on Thanksgiving Day.
All right, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Good night.